Hello, everybody. It's John and Tiffany. It's Friday early afternoon, and we're doing a recap on the first week of the course and looking forward to the second week of the course. In this video, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about generally participation in the first week, which was awesome, and the Google Hangouts that you guys have all been doing. That's the first thing. The second thing is the intro and exit tickets, the first two ones on the emotional response to the video and your experience with research. And then the third thing we want to say a little bit about is how we're going to do intro and exit tickets going forward with the rest of the course. All right, and so Tiffany, hello. Do you want to say something about the Google Hangouts and what we were doing with that?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I want to reiterate, first of all, John's comment about we're really excited about all the participation for this week. You all were really engaged in the conversations, as noted by we're probably up to about 1,200 discussion posts throughout the course over a week, which is pretty amazing, to say the least. For the Google Hangout piece, I know some of you were struggling with technology and working that out with your particular computers or your iPhones or your iPads. I know I did a practice run with a couple of you this week, and we just wanted to make sure that we wanted to give you an opportunity to do the Google Hangouts when it didn't matter as much. So we gave you an assignment to talk about something that we had really talked about a lot in the discussion boards, just to give you an opportunity to meet as a group through the Google Hangouts and practice the technology piece in an arena that wasn't going to be threatening as far as you worrying about a grade on a final project. So that was really our maybe somewhat subversive purpose in having you do the Google Hangout for that particular discussion for that intro ticket. John, did you have anything to add to that?
Uh, yeah, just that I was really pleased that it turned out that all the groups were able to do the Google Hangout. I honestly, we have 13 groups. I honestly thought we might get 10, and we would still be having three groups trying to figure it out at this point. So the fact that every group did it in some form at least is really quite a good success, and we're set up for the rest of the course now. All right, so the second thing we want to talk about is the intro ticket. First, the intro ticket on the emotional response to the video. And this is one of the intro tickets that Tiffany had developed. And I think Tiffany has some interesting points to make about this. So, Tiffany.
Sure. So I also use this in a face-to-face class as well, and it's really exciting to prompt folks to think about something that's really emotionally engaging. And the discussion boards it was very clear that that video emotionally engaged a lot of you. Many of you felt as though if those of you who are teachers, a lot of you expressed in your writing in the discussion posts and expressed in your Google Hangouts that you were frustrated by it, you felt hurt by it, you really had a deep emotional response to it. And so really the purpose behind this particular assignment or this particular video and response was to say, okay, I have this emotional response, and there's lots of research out there that could prompt an emotional response. But now that I realize I have an emotional response to it, how can I then step aside from that emotional response and look a little bit more objectively at the research itself? So how is the research conducted as opposed to how the topic or how the way it's presented makes you feel? And so that's really the purpose behind that particular activity all the different times that I've done it, is to figure out how to separate that a little bit. Not that we had any idea where any of that research came from, and many of you noted that in your discussion board posts or in your discussions with your groups. John, what did you have to add?
One other thing I wanted to add about that is um, when you're presented with that information, let's say you're past the emotional part, and you're presented with that information, you want to check out the validity of it. One way of doing that is to go about checking out all the statistics that are presented in that video. But another thing that really helps you respond to this kind of thing is if you have some broad sense of the statistics or the facts on the ground in your field that you have as a basis for a starting judgment on what you're being told. Now, right away with that video, I responded very negatively from an analytical perspective because To me, the best source of data on how the U.S. is doing on the broadest kind of measure is the National Assessment of Educational Progress. It's kind of like the PSSA, but for the whole nation, and it's been going on for since the 70s, and it's a very well done assessment of students. And basically, we're flat as a nation. That's the truth. But actually, it's a little bit better than that. We've had gradual improvement in student outcomes in all races, in math and science, and in all grades since the 70s. It's very modest, but it's an improvement. So I have that basic little bit of background knowledge. And so when I'm told, the worst generation, I mean, this is like, it sounds to me, my initial impression is, well, just people spouting off without any basis. But I can say that not just because I hear the tone of it, but also because I have some basic foundational information. So in this class, we're going to be doing a lot of critical analysis of what is presented to us, but it also helps to have some basic foundational information, especially in your particular field. So you can, when you're reading something, you have that as a basis to respond. All right, and then we're just going to very briefly talk about the second intro ticket, which is your experience with the research process.
Well, then what we noted was what's really awesome about this particular group, many of you have really deep experiences with research, whether it be actual research in your undergrad experience or other graduate classes, or a lot of you really made that connection between the personal research that we do, consumer research, so to speak, and how that can really connect to what we're trying to learn in this course. And it was really awesome to see all of you interacting not just with John and me about that, but with each other as far as giving each other kudos about, wow, yeah, you really have been involved in research and really relating to one another on that level. And I thought that was a pretty successful opportunity to connect the personal, something you already know, to maybe some concepts and terminology that we're still learning when it comes to research methods.
All right, now I just want to talk a little bit about a couple things going forward. First of all, one of the grades in this class is for participation, and we break it down into participation every week. And virtually everybody has done everything for the first week, and so we'll automatically be giving you the full participation points for this last week, and you'll just see those appear in D2L. If there are a couple people who are still catching up on things, and we know about that, and we'll give you time to catch up. And if there's anybody as we're going through the course that is getting behind, we're going to be on top of it, and we'll let you know, hey, you haven't done this part of it, and you need to get caught up in order to get the participation points. But right now, you should just know that almost everybody has done almost everything for the first week, and we'll be giving those participation points probably this weekend. The second thing is, Tiffany and I have talked quite a bit about changing the intro-exit ticket format. We really like the intro-exit ticket, but what it's supposed to be is a real quick exercise, just like an exit ticket in a class, or an intro ticket to get things started and get a sense of prior knowledge. But the way the first two intro-exit tickets worked, they turned into very big kind of discussions, especially for Tiffany and I, because the way the D2L board was set up, we kind of had to respond to every single person. So what we're going to do to change this going forward is our intro-exit tickets going forward are going to be just one thread, and everybody has to reply to that thread. And I'll try to set it up right. I actually made some mistakes the last time. That's part of the reason it happened. One thread, everybody responds to it. So you'll all be seeing each other's responses in the whole line. And so Tiffany and I are not going to necessarily respond to every single post, but we might respond overall to how the discussion is going, or there might be a particular point that we think really want to highlight, or a misconception that we want to address. But going forward, the intro-exit tickets are going to be in one thread, and we'll indicate what thread to respond to. Tiffany, any final thoughts?
No, I think you explained that really well, and please understand it's not a thing where we're trying to create less work for the two of us, but what we noticed with the way these discussion threads go is it's almost like one-on-one instruction, where we feel like everybody will benefit more if there's more interaction among everybody. That was really our whole idea behind combining our two sections as it was, so that you could have more opportunity to interact with people with lots of different backgrounds and different experiences. So we really want to try and make that come alive even more, although you all have really done a great job in making that happen in some of the discussion boards anyway. We just want to be more intentional about setting it up to make sure that it does happen that way.
All right, thanks everybody. Look forward to seeing you all online this week.
Thank you.